Assalamu alaikum. This is Pasha, the author of the Double Cross. I have a question. Do you know that the Most High has purposely handicapped us? And that by doing so, He has created the struggle necessary within us to earn a place in a beautiful life of eternity. The battle, the true battle, is only with ourselves. It's all in our hands. Forces outside of ourselves have devised many methods to prevent us from seeing ourselves, or simply taking the time to search. The clothes that we wear, the car that we drive, the place that we live in are not us. If it were, we would not leave it all behind when we leave here. So I guess the real question is, why do we preoccupy ourselves with obtaining all these things that we ultimately leave behind? And the three things that we take with us, our soul and our good and bad deeds, we almost never give a second thought. Man, according to all divine scripture, was created weak in the flesh. What does that mean? To put it simply, he's significantly controlled by his lower desires. His penis desires without the restrictions placed on him by divine law. It's why women can charge thousands of dollars to allow him to sleep with her. It's why men rape and sexually abuse women, children, and other men. This weakness created in man, if not checked by discipline and divine law from the Most High, condemns him in this life and the next. The battle, as I said, is within himself. The woman was purposely created capricious, subject to whims and fancies, is this and that. The ability to focus is a battle for her, the back and forth. But even so, with these weaknesses clocked into their nature of God's man and woman, both have within themselves the ability to rise above the weakness of the flesh and this and that. Many do. The Most High, His mercy and love for His creation, has sent down guidance to His messengers and prophets. And yet most of what we have said, most of what they have said is rarely taken seriously. We all lay claim to God and to believe, but rarely follow what God has said. And don't call us hypocrites. Yes, we fornicate. Yes, we commit adultery. Yes, we lie and steal. Yes, we are alcoholics and junkies. We admit that. We have to, because it's all as common in our lives today as breathing air. And we never give it a second thought. That is, until something goes wrong, or our lives are in danger, or our parents' lives, or our children, or a dear friend, suddenly we know who God is and all of His commandments. Suddenly, we are all ready to be the best Christian, the best Muslim we can be. Only if God will use His power to aid us. Suddenly, we know He has power over all things. Suddenly, we know He hears us and He answers prayer. So, the question is again, if we know this, why haven't we prayed before? Daily. If we know this, that He sees us, then how could we think about doing the things that He has forbidden us to do, and slipping off to break His commands against fornication and adultery, and those against drunkenness, lies, and hurting our neighbors? And what about the blasphemy of worshiping anything other than Him, when He has said He is one and do not take anything before Him? In the Holy Quran, Surah 7, verse 10, the Most High says, "Those who reject our signs and treat them with arrogance, no opening will there be for them of the gates of heaven, nor will they enter the garden until the camel can pass through the eye of a needle. Such is the reward for those who do sin." In Surah 4, verses 18 of the Holy Quran, the Most High says, "Of no effect is the repentance of those who continue to do evil until death faces them." And He says, "Now have I repented indeed." Nor for those who die rejecting faith. For them, you have prepared a punishment most grievous. Now, I know this last verse broke a lot of hearts because you thought that after a life of breaking one divine law after another, that on your deathbed you could declare that you now believe, and that would be enough to get you into paradise. You can get there for sure, but only after the camel can pass through the eye of a needle. I think we all know that is ridiculous. It's all your chance to get into paradise after living your life entirely fornicating, lying, blaspheming against the Most High. However, in His mercy, He has made sure that indications and symbols to guide us have reached the earth as a reminder of Him and to teach us to turn within. The soul God created for all mankind is inside each and every one of us. So logically, where else should we look? This is the double cross. How many of you know what the Hajj is? Most of you ignore its purpose because you see Muslims going there and you believe it's just for them. So let me give you an education. Everything in this world, in the heavens and the earth, are Muslims. The sun, the moon, the stars, the fish, in the sea, trees, everything. Because they all submit their will to the Creator. Man, or mankind, is also a part of God's creation. And in spite of himself, he submits to the form and purpose of his creation. He and his woman, they may violate God's commandments, but they are as He intended them to be. And a Muslim is anyone or anything that submits their will to God's. Now, if God says, do not commit adultery, and you do not commit adultery, you have submitted your will to God's. That makes you Muslim. If God says, do not kill, and you spare the life of someone you could have easily taken, that makes you a Muslim because you submitted your will to God's will. You see Muslims praying 5 times a day, and you act like it's strange. But we know for sure that the Messiah, Prophet Daniel, and many others prayed morning, noon, and night. It's in the Bible. How many of you even do that? You see Muslims fasting for 30 days till the month of Ramadan, and after this strange also. And yet, the Messiah went out in the wilderness and fasted for 30 days. And Moses did so for 30, then added 10 more to make it 40 days. Fasting has been going on a very long time. The persons that were not labeled Muslims but submitted themselves to God's will. In Surah 2, verse 183 and 185, the Most High says, O ye who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed to those before you, that you may learn self-restraint. Ramadan is the month in which was sent down the Quran as a guide to mankind. So every one of you who is present during that month should spend it in time and should spend it in fasting, giving thanks for it. The Most High has used the word prescribed. And what does that mean, the word prescribed? According to Webster's dictionary, it means to officially tell someone to use a medicine or the use as a remedy. So fasting is prescribed. So fasting is a prescribed remedy from the Most High to learn self-restraint. Self-restraint from what? From the weaknesses incorporated in our initial creation, not just for Muslims we see today, but for all mankind, past and present. Now, let's get back to the Hajj, because the Most High says something interesting there as well. In Surah 22, verse 26 and 29, the Most High says, Behold, we gave the sight of Abraham for the sacred house, saying, do not associate anything with me, and sanctify my house for those who compass it round, stand or prostrate themselves in prayer. and let them complete the rites prescribed for them. Now, there goes that word again, prescribed. So like fasting, the Hajj is a prescription. It's medicine. And let me tell you why. After handicapping us from the beginning of our creation, the Most High, out of his mercy, turned around and gave us the prescribed antidote to overcome those weaknesses. The pilgrimage is a part of the antidote, along with fasting, prayer, studying, and reflection. This is real. We go about this life as if it's a game, even though we see those we love and others passing over to the other side and being placed in graves every day. We all will get a turn. Again, this is real. Abraham and his first son, Ishmael, built the foundation you see today of the Kaaba in Mecca. The foundation has never been touched or changed. Every stone Abraham and his son Ishmael, born to him by an Egyptian woman, Hagar, a black woman, placed there, is still there today. In verse 26, the Most High says, sanctify my house. People travel from all over the world, from all nations and tribes, to visit the house that Abraham and his son built. But the million-dollar question is, why was it built in the first place? What's the purpose? The Most High doesn't live there. His throne is in the seventh heaven, and he is all present. He is everywhere. So what is the significance of traveling from around the world to walk around it 7 times? It's simple. It's to remind the world that God resides within the sacred house he built, that he created, and that is us. Our prescription, given to us by God, is a reminder every year to walk around ourselves, our house, and to take a look inside and know that God resides there. This is the Double Cross. Ramadan Mubarak. Assalamu alaikum.